Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. Concacaf has announced changes to the way teams from this region can qualify for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar in 2022. To that extent, Jamaica from the Caribbean Football Union, the CFU, is one of 5 teams that have been guaranteed a place in CONCACAF's final round of qualifiers. And this final round, you know it as the Hex. It was comprised of 6 teams. It will now have 8 teams and begin in June 2021. Now, in that group of 5, you'll have Jamaica, Mexico, the United States, Costa Rica, and Honduras. And of course, they'll be battling for CONCACAF's 3.5 places at the Qatar World Cup. This is what the Confederation published on Monday.
The Concacaf Qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 will be comprised of 3 separate rounds. The 3 rounds of the Concacaf Qualifiers, which will determine the 3.5 Concacaf representatives for the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022, will take place one after the other during the FIFA match windows of October and November 2020, March-June's double window, September, October, November 2021, and January and March 2022. The first round of the CONCACAF qualifiers will be played between CONCACAF's FIFA Member Associations ranked 6 through 35, according to the FIFA ranking as of July 2020. The 30 national teams will be drawn into 6 groups of 5, with the top-ranked 6 nations pre-seeded in each group. In total, each nation will play once against each team in their group, a total of 4 matches, with 2 at home and 2 away. These matches will be played during the FIFA match windows of October and November 2020. At the conclusion of first round play, the 6 group winners will advance to the second round. The second round will be played between the 6 group winners of the first round in a direct elimination format during the FIFA match window of March 2021. The 6 participating teams will be divided into 3 matchups: Winner Group A versus Winner Group F, Winner Group B versus Winner Group E, and Winner Group C versus Winner Group D. After home and away play, the 3 winners on aggregate score will advance to the third and final round. The final round will be contested between the top 5 CONCACAF ranked nations who had already gained enough FIFA ranking points to guarantee qualification to the final round, and the 3 second round matchup winners. The 8 nations will play home and away, starting with the double FIFA match window in June 2021, followed by the windows in September, October, and November 2021, and January and March 2022. At the conclusion of round-robin play, the top 3 finishers of the third and final round will qualify directly to the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. The 4th place finisher will advance to the FIFA Intercontinental Playoff scheduled for June 2022.
All right, so CONCACAF has set their stall out insofar as the World Cup qualifiers for Qatar 2022 are going to go. And to talk more about this arrangement, we're pleased to be joined by the president of CONCACAF, Victor Montagliani. Victor, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good. You look like you're sitting on the floor, like you're lounging. You look rather low, but that's fine. You're with us, and that's all that matters. Tell me something.
I'm meditating.
You're meditating. Kumbaya. Victor, the looking at what we just played from the video, discuss with us the process that informed the final plan that you unveiled on Monday, the final structure of the World Cup qualifiers. What are some of the discussion points that led you to agree that this was the best way to go in the time we have and in the conditions that football will be played for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so obviously everybody's world changed in the middle of March with the pandemic. And then we had lost the March windows, the June windows, and also the now September windows. So a lot of things were factored in. It's not just about World Cup qualifying. I know everybody, that's what we're focusing on, and we'll be speaking specifically about that today. But we have to look at the entire men's calendar. We have to look at the Gold Cup qualifying that is still underway. We have to look at our Nations League Final Four that still has to be completed. And we also have to look at the Nations League 2.0, which was to start in 21, but now will start in 22. So when we took all of this into account, looked at the amount of games that needed to be played in all our competitions, looked at the old format, which was not able to be completed in full because not everybody could fill out all their ranking requirements because we lost March and June, other than the 5 countries that we showed in the video that were already across the line, regardless of what they did in March and June. The other part is that underpins this is always like anything in life is the economics of it. We felt that if we would continue with the old format, that a lot of the media contracts that our member associations rely on, as well as the economics of trying to play those many games in sort of a pool where you had to, where there'd be a lack of revenue would be a burden. And on top of that, all the other games that they would have to play in the next 18 months, Gold Cup qualifying, the Gold Cup itself, and Nations League. So we took a step back and we said, how can we give more direct access to a final round to our member associations? The first thing was to expand the final round from the traditional 6 that we've always had in this region to 8. We also wanted to honor the 5 that are across the line because we felt it would be unfair for those 5 to be penalized in any which way. So, because mathematically they could not be caught. So we honored that. And now we had 30 remaining nations. And those 30, we had to figure out a formula how we get from 30 to 3. Now, this was an added bonus for everyone because rather than trying to play for a half a spot or 1 spot, they're playing for 3 full spots into the final round. And this is where we came up with the formula that you showed on the video, round 1 or round 2. These teams will compete, we'll get down to 3, and they move into the final round. So this was fully analyzed, fully reviewed, discussed with the member associations, obviously in confidence, and then we had a final all presidents meeting yesterday before we announced it to the public.
Yeah. Even at the best of times, revenue is a serious thing for especially these smaller nations, and they'd of course look to the World Cup qualifiers as that bonanza period on their respective calendars, Victor, when they'd expect most support from their respective publics to come out and see the games. Given the reality of COVID-19, are these games going to be played without spectators? And if yes, does Concacaf have the muscle to assist these teams hosting home games with some sort of extension of support to defray the revenue that would have been lost by virtue of not being able to invite fans into the stands to watch the games?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, obviously health and safety is the number 1 factor. If, for instance, we will be monitoring the condition in our region and in the world, obviously, between now and October. If, for instance, October is in peril, we will then go to FIFA with respect to moving those 2 FIFA dates into somewhere in the 21 or 22 calendar. So the good news is that this is the format. We have our dates. We may have to move the dates around if we're not past this thing in October or even November, but we can make those up in the following year or year and a half. With respect to one of the reasons the truth of the matter is that most of the revenue for World Cup qualifying now, specifically for our member associations, doesn't necessarily come from bums and seats. It comes from the media rights contracts that they negotiate with broadcasters or third parties. And so this is one of the reasons we needed to keep the principle of this format in place, which having a final round in sort of a league type of situation. This is why we will keep the sanctity of their financial means. Now, with respect to fans, that will be a decision by the host country based on their own health authorities in terms of if they allow people into stadiums or not. This is not a decision by CONCACAF or FIFA in terms of whether people are allowed in the stadium or not, because this is would be a home game, for instance, for Jamaica. If the health authorities allow fans to come in because they feel it's safe, then obviously they'll come in. Obviously, any revenue you can get at the gate is going to help. And then, we'll be in constant dialogue with our member associations in terms of any help that we can look to give we will try to give. But I think as it relates to World Cup qualifying, I think their focus is on what they have. Our aid will come more in our own sort of assets, which is Gold Cup qualifying, and Nations League.
Victor, there was an anticipation, even pre-COVID-19, that there would be a restructuring of the format for World Cup qualifying. Based on what the projection was for that, can you explain the differences or the sort of adjustments you would have had to make because of the COVID-19 issue?
Well, I mean, if COVID wouldn't have occurred, there would have been no adjustments. We would have played the format that was
the hex.
It would have been, it would have been what we had, because we wouldn't have lost any dates. Don't forget, we've lost March, June, and September. We haven't replaced all three. Yesterday, we also announced a Gold Cup qualification format because we don't have the 6 dates to play the current format, which would have been the winners of League C in our Nations League versus B2, and the winner of that playing the nations that came third in League A. You need 4 dates for that, 2 FIFA windows. We don't have them. And therefore, what we announced yesterday was a centralized format approximately a week before the Gold Cup, where we are bringing in those 12 countries, play a knockout format. The winner of the knockout move on to the group stage of the Gold Cup approximately 4 or 5 days later. It was very well received because now these 12 countries will be at the Gold Cup, have the Gold Cup experience. We've obviously eliminated their costs that they would have incurred in a home and away type situation. So as you can see, we've had to maneuver a lot of moving parts here in order for this entire ecosystem to occur. So this was done because of COVID. If there would have been no COVID, we would have played the system that we had. We would have had our Gold Cup qualifying done, our Final Four done, the Nations League in June, and we would have started World Cup qualifying in about a month's time, in the beginning of September.
Yeah. Isn't that the end product then, Victor, is satisfying for CONCACAF because it doesn't disadvantage the big CONCACAF teams, the Mexicos, USAs and Costa Ricas of this world, and some of the smaller Caribbean teams? We note that the rise of like a Montserrat has been phenomenal in the past couple of years. So they now feel they have a more direct access to Qatar 2022.
Yeah, listen, I think it takes on all for the ones that have aspirations, the ones that are growing, that know realistically that World Cup is not there for them yet, but they know that this experience will help them in the next Nations League, will help them in the next Gold Cup qualification. So I think it has something for everybody, and I'm actually quite happy and proud of our group and our group of presidents, our group of staff, in terms of coming together during a very difficult time and finding what I think is an excellent solution for World Cup qualifying, Gold Cup qualifying, and also our Nations League.
You mentioned earlier on about the Gold Cup being slightly shifted back to the 10th of July, I think it is. But you've also mentioned that there's a preliminary qualifying phase, if you will, for 12 teams going to the USA probably a week before, which is what I saw. Now, the format hasn't been finalized, but a week before sounds a little tight for me for 12 teams to decide on 4 spots for the Gold Cup.
No, because there will be knockout games, right?
Knockout.
So it won't be like a home and away type of. So yeah, there'll be a knockout game. There'll be knockout games. We will reveal all those details and the format. I'll be more than happy to come back on your show in about the second or third, probably the third week of August. We will have all these details about the Gold Cup, the Nations League, this format of the knockout version that's now centralized. But we wanted to advise the nations, knowing that they don't have to worry about looking for how to cover expenses on the home and away. Now they can plan that they are going to be at the Gold Cup, which will start July the 2nd, will be this knockout phase with the group stage, which Jamaica is already in on July the 10th. That starts on July the 10th. And so, but those details we will announce approximately the third week of August. And like I said, I'm more than happy to come back on your show to discuss the Gold Cup.
Since we've got you here, can I toss this one at you for 2026? When the USA, Canada, and Mexico are already confirmed as hosts for the World Cup. I see provisionally where 6 CONCACAF teams would be playing in that World Cup. Of course, Mexico, USA, and Canada as hosts, and 3 others. Is that confirmed, or is that in any way could change? Could that change in any way?
No, what was confirmed by the council, I don't know, a couple of years ago, was that as related to CONCACAF, we have 6 direct spots, and then we had a half a spot, which that means we would go to a playoff. Now, because we also won the bid, and we won the right to host the World Cup, we gained another half a spot. So that means we have 6 plus 2 halves. So we have the 3 that obviously are hosting that are automatic. We will have 3 more direct spots that are the remaining 32 nations will fight for, plus 2 others will actually qualify for a playoff opportunity. So that means we could potentially have the 3 hosts plus the 3 more direct, plus if the 2 that end up in the intercontinental playoff win it, we could have another 2 CONCACAF nations. So we would have a total of 8, which I've been very clear that one of the reasons we're investing in League of Nations and expanded Gold Cup and all the things that we're doing is because we really want to set that bar that we have 8 CONCACAF nations at the 2026 Gold Cup, that we win those 2 playoffs.
Victor, finally, this just came to me as you spoke about the World Cup qualifiers. If it is, and your emphasis on the fact that it will be up to individual nations based on their own COVID-19 protocols to determine certain things, such as whether or not a team will be allowed to host fans inside a stadium for a World Cup qualifier. I don't know the specific dates of the World Cup qualifiers yet. That has not been published. That's to come. But in a case like a country like Jamaica, where international visitors, visitors period, whether you're a national or you're a tourist, once you come, you have to serve a 14-day quarantine. What if in the event that the Jamaicans go away to play a game and then come back and are preparing for the return leg of that game? They would have to do a 14-day period quarantine. And of course, a team coming in, those players and the whole contingent would also have to quarantine for 14 days. What allowance, if any, have you made for that in this very difficult set of circumstances?
Yeah, so Jamaica is not the only country that has those type of. In fact, the country I'm talking to you from has the same 14-day quarantine today on July the 28th of where we are. The good news for Jamaica is Jamaica is not going to have to worry about that till next June. And hopefully by next June, when they start the final round, to have improved to the point we'll have fucked up. Our biggest concern is the qualifiers that will start in October. I don't have the exact window of the FIFA thing. I think it's in the beginning of October. This is now the work that needs to be done in terms of gathering the information, all the protocols that are required. For instance, are those protocols enough to complete the fixture of games? Is it going to be compromised? How many will be compromised? So, setting down the format, to be honest with you, George, was easy. But now the real work happens in terms of getting, how do we execute it? And this is not just CONCACAF, obviously. I'm speaking on behalf of all my Confederation colleagues who are in the same boat, whether it's in Asia or South America. And obviously, that's why we probably have to make a decision on the October window, probably at some point in early September, if it's feasible. Right now, this is our format. We know we have these dates, and we move forward with this format. And we know that there is already a plan B internally at FIFA that if October, November compromise, likely where they may end up as dates in 2021 and 22. There's been some planning with respect to that, but doesn't change the fact that the health protocols are a priority for everyone, first and foremost.
Hear you on that. You are correct. The hard yards will come, but at least there's a plan to discuss around. Thank you very much, Victor Montagliani, and we look forward to seeing some more information coming out, and look forward to see how this all comes together. Very ambitious, but I like the format. I like the fact that the big 5, as I'm calling them, are guaranteed. So you're guaranteed quality there, and then you say it's a race among 30 teams for 3 places in that final group of 8, and then everybody has a crack at one of those 3.5 places. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good. Victor Montagliani there, the boss of Concacaf. And I like the format, I must tell you.
Yeah.
30 teams playing for 3 places. I like that. 5 groups of 6, he said, or 6 groups of 5?
5 groups of 6.
5 groups of 6, right. Yes. So 5 groups of 6.
No, 6 groups.
I think it's 6 I was wondering because there must be an odd number in the group,
yes,
right? So 5 groups of 6. 6 groups of 5.
Yes.
Yeah. And from that, you'll have 3 teams going through. Already 5 teams are guaranteed a place in the final 8. So what was the final 6 is now a final 8. So an 8-sided figure is what? An octagon. So where you had a hexagon which was a 6-sided thing, is now an octagon because it's 8. So Jamaica, Mexico, Honduras, Canada, the USA.
No, USA, Costa Rica. Right.
No
Canada.
Beg your pardon. Canada is in my head because Canada is always a top CONCACAF team. There you go.
That's Montagliani's place.
There you go. So his team is not in. Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, USA, Jamaica. They are through.